This episode is brought to you by Spas and More.
I just believe in the power of healing and restoration. And I know that if we can just come together and speak about the hard things, we can finally begin to heal. So, this is where we heal.
Welcome to another episode of This Is Where We Heal. Today I have my guest, Michael Wooten. I met Michael through actually my sister-in-law, and he is a dance instructor at, what is the name of your studio?
Effervescent Studios.
Effervescent Studios,
Yes.
where I actually ended up taking a dance class myself on ballroom dancing, which never saw myself doing in a million years.
Yeah.
But I had an amazing time, and here's why we are where we are today. I met Michael. I'd heard a lot about him. And just a little bit about his story, but not a lot. And when I met him, something happened that I don't think I've shared with him that I think is important to say. Sometimes you meet people and they have a light in them that you know came from pain and transformation and healing. And when you see that light, you want to share it with other people, or at least I do, because I've been there too and I know it and I recognize it in other people, and you don't see it very often. And so when I met you, you carry that light in you.
Thank you.
For whatever reason, you were one of those people that just kind of floats around the world and genuinely makes it just a little bit better everywhere you go.
Thank you.
And then I got to hear just a little bit of your story when we met. And I thought, this is a story that needs to be told because there are a lot of people that have been where you are, a lot of people that have felt the pain that you have felt and been through the things that you've been through that maybe are still trying to figure out their way to the other side,
right.
Or maybe just haven't quite found that light in them yet, right. And they know they're ready. And so I think it's really important for you to tell your story.
Well, thank you.
And I want people to hear it because I think it'll make a difference. And so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So when we met, I'm going to tell this little story because I think it's so funny. And we were talking about this earlier, but my sister-in-law and my brother, they're from a little tiny town in Illinois. Very, very, traditional, very, exactly what you would expect, right? And my brother, the idea of dancing just in general was like an absolute no. I'm not going and dancing around a floor doing ballroom dancing. Are you kidding? I'm a man. I'm a man and I hunt and I fish and I do all the things. Like, who do you think you are? And my sister-in-law just kept, chipping at him because she was having a blast dancing with you.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know how she found you, but we'll get into that later. But somehow she convinced my very tough, rough around the edges, outdoorsy, country, exactly what you'd expect Illinoisan brother to go do ballroom dancing.
Yes.
And he was not happy about it.
Not one bit.
In fact, they got in a big fight on the way there. And he's like, first of all, I don't want to dance. Second of all, I don't want to be around a guy that's going to be dancing and doing all these things. Like, he just wasn't for it.
Yes.
And then he got there and he had the time of his life. And he's been promoting people to go dance with you since,
yes.
Which is hilarious. So, and now you're pretty close with him too. So yes. I think that's so funny and such a great example of how, like, when someone truly does have a light in them, like, even people that you would never expect can be touched by that light. So
fair. Without
further ado, I want to talk about, one, how you got into dancing.
Okay.
And then we're going to go all the way back to the story of Michael,
okay.
Who Michael was, became, and is now, and what that looks like.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'll do my best to keep it as much in a compact version.
We got an hour.
Okay,
so
perfect. All right. Well, let's let it spill.
Yeah.
So I kind of came into dancing in a very kind of like unorthodox way.
Okay.
Right? And so I graduated from a private Christian university in South Carolina.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And so graduated with the intention of utilizing music within ministry.
Oh.
And so that was the hope as a sparkling college grad. But my last semester at university, I started to realize, actually, I'm so grateful for teachers who speak to us in a way that let us be seen, right?
Yeah.
So I had a voice teacher who said, Michael, your sparkle's getting a little dim.
Aww.
And she goes, I would just suggest you talk to someone. And she wasn't lying. So what ended up taking place was I started seeing a counselor and therapist, and what I was struggling with was the truth of who I am, right?
And this is
So
in college.
this is in college.
Okay.
I was 22, and I was basically in the closet like my entire life. You ask my family, and they're like, "We knew your whole life, right?" But I didn't. I wasn't
Oh.
comfortable with the reality because I'm from small town USA. I know what that means, and I know how people look at and
Mhm.
judge. And
Mhm.
when you've also created your life within the church, you know that you risk giving up things.
Yeah.
And so I came out my last semester at university, and with it, I did lose opportunities for employment and things like that. And I mean, I'm a young 22-year-old who, for some reason, still thought I could take on the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what I did was, um, I kind of like gradually let go of those opportunities and those expectations of what I thought I would be doing.
Yeah.
And what kind of took the cake was my pastor. I'd served on ever since I was like 12. I served in music within churches,
Uh-huh.
right? And I was always on every Sunday up, you know, praising, and
Were you a singer?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I still dabble.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I still like to play with my voice a little bit,
Yeah.
but what ended up taking place was I went to his office because I thought he should know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I follow the code of conduct that my university has me sign. Like I'm very big on integrity,
Mhm.
especially these days. But I was like, I think you should know this is who I am. This is who I believe myself to be, and I still want to be of service. Um, but how does that look from our pulpit, basically? And he thanked me for letting him know, but he said, I don't think you could serve in the capacity of what you're used to.
Yeah.
That's all I've known since I was 12,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So fast forward a bit, I ended up um, having a pretty rough go at adulthood after that because with
Yeah.
job opportunities gone, plus my relationship with family strained, I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with 9 drag queens. I know, go from one world immediately thrusted into a different one.
But that happens a lot,
Yeah,
actually.
it
The
does.
pendulum swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure does.
Oh, that was quite the pendulum.
Yeah, it really is, but it does happen.
And so I ended up living in this apartment, didn't have employment, and we would all kind of, what I loved was it was like a little community. And
Mhm.
granted, I'm 100% aware today that there was a form of protection over my life at the time. Because looking back, there was a lot of things happening in this apartment that Michael knew nothing about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that at that time. And ended up, I'll never forget so what ended up taking place was we would perform on the weekends just to get dollar menu food and,
Mhm.
get by. Until finally, one morning, June 6th, 2009, like I'll never forget that date. I woke up and I, I always believed, and even to this day, still believe that there's a still small voice, right,
Mhm.
within us. And this voice said to me, I love who you are, but it's time for you to work. Like, just end of story. And like I sobbed, like if you could picture a one-bedroom apartment, bodies laying in
Oh,
different
wow.
places.
Yeah.
Like I did my best to hide my cries as
Mhm.
best as I could. And I was like, well, what do I do? Everyone's still asleep. Like, what do I do? And the voice said, go to Craigslist. And I went to Craigslist and I was like, okay, now what? And so like I'm scrolling for job opportunities, and this ad said dance teacher wanted. And I was like, I just graduated from a private Christian school. We were not allowed to dance. Like what this is a no,
What
like
kind of private Christian school was
it
it?
was a Wesleyan private school. Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
in our
Okay.
code of conduct, no dancing. So, and I followed it. I followed it to a T. I was a good little boy.
No joy.
Exactly.
We don't allow joy around here.
Exactly. So I ended up, it was what was strange was it was the only link that actually opened. It was the only one that worked. And so I called the number. They were having a training class. And keep in mind, my life was out of a duffel bag
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
And so called the number. They said, we're having a training class. Can you come in? I said, sure. Gave me the address. And I'm like, okay, how far do I have to walk, right? And I never noticed it, but the studio was right across the street from the apartment complex. Like, right.
What?
You can't plan this stuff, right? It was right there. So I was like, oh, it's right. Okay, cool. I'll be over in a minute. So like I put on a Save Africa shirt, rolled up blue jeans, Sperry's, and a hat like cocked to the side. And I walked over there feeling like new opportunity, right? Like I don't know. Goofiness is just how I live my life.
Yeah.
And I ended up walking in, and again, another shock because there were 30 other like potential new instructors, all in business attire, like very straight lace, very clean. And I was like, oh, I don't fit
You're like, I
here.
think I showed up to the wrong place.
I'm in the wrong place. And the owner came up, she introduced herself, and she asked if I could come back the next day wearing something a little more appropriate. And I was like, sure. So I went back to the apartment. And this again, the thing I love about when people lose everything, right?
Yeah.
And have nothing, we stick together and we help one another. And that's where you'll find the most genuine help you'll ever need.
Yeah.
Because these queens, like one gave me a collared shirt, another gave me a tie, one gave me a pair of pants that barely fit, another gave me a pair of shoes, and just like got me, I was like Cinderfella. Like they were just buttoning me up for this new job opportunity. So went over the next day. And I was just like, okay, let's just see what happens. Like I have nothing, literally nothing to lose.
Yeah, facts.
So ended up, I did the training class for 2 days, had fun. And on the last day, she had one-on-one interviews. And sitting in that interview, and it was very small room, just she and I. And she said, so why should I hire you? And I said, I really don't know. Like, I don't know if you should, because I know nothing of this world. But this was one of the first times in my adult life that I was honest. And I said, I have nothing, like absolutely nothing. I'm right across the street. I'm living on a floor. I said, but if you give me a chance, I will work my tail off for you, period. And that's all I can offer. Out of the 30, I was the only one she hired. And in 2 years, I made it to high rank within that dance franchise. And then third year, I made it to the highest. And so I just love what I do.
I genuinely am shocked right now because I thought that dancing was probably just something you did your whole life.
No, not at all.
Because you were so good at it.
Well,
But you are.
Thank
You had
you.
me feeling like I was a ballroom dancer in
'Cause
one
you
session.
Are. Inside of you lives one.
I literally was like, how am I doing this? How am I dancing like this? This doesn't make sense. My family thought the videos were hilarious because they were like, what?
Fabulous.
You're dancing so well.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. But like, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like your level of like skill is like something
Thank
that people spend a lifetime cultivating.
Thank you.
So you know that you were meant to be there that day.
Thank you.
Without a doubt.
I feel that. And I really feel that because of just, it was one of those things, and these moments have happened several times in my life, but when all sound stops and that voice just guides you,
Yeah.
or that intuition, and as long as it doesn't harm anyone in the stepping forward, do the stepping forward.
Well, and that's
right?
how you know. That's how you know it is God.
Right.
Because it's not, it doesn't just benefit you,
Yeah.
but it benefits other people. And that leading you there, think of all the people now that have come into your presence that would have never met you otherwise, right? Who knows where you'd be?
Yeah, exactly.
But other lives have been affected because you said yes to that call.
Thank you.
You know?
Thank you.
And that's the beauty of it. Yeah. Oh,
Thank you.
that's so beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back further.
Okay.
Let's talk about the really hard stuff too.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about recovery and the beautiful stuff that came after.
Okay.
So you grew up in a really small town.
Yes.
And it was in Illinois, right?
No,
Oh.
South Carolina.
Oh, you grew up in South Carolina.
I do.
Oh.
A really small town called Gilbert, South Carolina.
It's probably even worse than Illinois. I do love the Carolinas. They're beautiful.
They are.
But I mean, as far as like,
As you're passing through, they're gorgeous.
yeah, they are gorgeous. But I mean, the people, like, The South is the South. Anyway, that's
Exactly.
another story for another day.
Exactly.
But let's talk about little Michael
Okay.
and the things that kind of shaped who you are and your life, and kind of the moment that, was there ever a moment when you were little? Because you grew up in church, right?
I did. I
Yeah,
did.
I'll let you tell this story. How
Okay.
about that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. So I want to give a disclaimer. So everything I share, I speak today from the perspective of someone who's done the work
Yeah.
to reshape my perception of what life was like.
Yeah.
Because of recovery, I've really had the chance to delve into removing myself from the situation to kind of figure out what was, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I'm from a very small town in South Carolina, super small, and I lovingly call myself a biracial gay Christian from South Carolina. Okay, so if that doesn't say I had a journey ahead of
Challenge.
me, in so
Ding,
many
ding, ding,
ways,
challenges.
exactly, so many ways. And so
Yeah.
I was born in '86, and I am the product of an affair. And so when I came into existence, I was wanted by a few and despised by many. That reality of being a little kid who knew that I didn't belong, but at the same time did everything I could to make sure that I did everything right, if that makes sense, not to stir the boat anymore.
To feel like you were worthy of being there.
Bingo. Exactly. And so when growing up with that playing in the back of my head, everything I kind of did shaped every decision and every relationship I had in the aspect of I'd never wanted to rock the boat, right? And being multiracial in South Carolina, that was such a stark line. And one thing I always found fascinating, my family, I have two sides, right? And they both refer to each other as Mikey's other family, because they never really sat together. I've never, and I won't, but my grandmothers have never been in the same room with each other. Like the only time of true bridge was when my mom would drop me off at my grandparents' house on the weekends, right? And so I grew up in two very different worlds.
Wow.
And being in the South, I had to walk this line of being able to honor while not defaming, if that makes sense. Because I grew up during the Confederate flag issue. I grew up during a lot of back and forth, a lot of just misunderstanding of what it means to be human, right?
Yeah.
And so growing up that way in that environment, I was always on eggshells.
Well, you were always like, where do I fit?
Bingo.
In every possible way.
Everywhere.
Because I don't quite feel like I fully belong here. Don't quite. I'm assuming. Sorry,
No,
I'm
you're
speaking
very
for
correct.
you, but like,
you're very correct.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. So like in school, I was too light for like my black friends and too dark for my white friends. So
I've heard that many times from biracial people before.
And it's a very real thing. And so the only place where I felt like I did belong was in the church at the time, because no one can be mean to you in church, right? Like no one can say a negative thing in church. But I quickly learned that that's not reality either.
Right.
So my aunt took me to a vacation Bible school when I was like early teens with my cousins. And ever since she did, I just never left, right? And so I was there every Wednesday, every Sunday. There was a show. I was helping.
So that was the first place that not only did you feel like you belonged, but you felt like you served a purpose.
Most certainly. There was always something to do, always. And it wasn't until later that I started to actually develop a relationship with something bigger than myself that things began to, you could see through the cracks a little bit. And so that was shaping in so many ways. So
So you started this vacation Bible school. started serving.
Yeah.
You became entrenched in that, and that kind of just became your identity
It did.
through
It did.
your teenage years.
Yeah. Because I really remember distinctly, I had a youth pastor, and she, like, my family, like, they did their best, right? But there was no room for extras.
Yeah.
So the church was doing this leadership week, and it was an overnight thing, and she really wanted me to go. And it cost money to go. So she had the church sponsor for me to go. And it was a fabulous time. It was my first time around other teenagers that were trying to figure out this thing called church. And it was also the same weekend that I gave my life to Christ. And in that journey, like, at that time, that was the most purest thing, right? And I remember asking her, I was like, why did you pay? Like, why am I going, right? And she said, I see something in you. And I didn't think I was going to get emotional during this.
It's okay.
Jeez Louise.
It's okay.
It's one of those things that such an authentic, such a genuine compliment when someone says, I see something in you, for the first time, and really hearing it as a teenager, it made a huge impact. And if there's something there, and she's willing to put money behind it to pay for it to be enhanced, then that means that it must actually be there. So despite how I feel, despite what I'm thinking, someone else sees something. And it was that kind of continued propelling a lot of the different chapters of my life.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But also, like, for someone that you probably had so many struggles up to this point, right? Like, just loss of not knowing who you are, loss of not knowing where you belong, loss of not knowing what you are, right? Like, and for someone to finally come along and just genuinely just see you behind, whether you're, biracial, behind whether, whatever, all these other things, they're like, no, there's something in you that there's more to you. Yeah. Like, that is a defining moment for sure in life.
They see through the labels. And that was one of the transformational moments of my young years. So,
and I could see why you were so attached to the church for that long, because it's the first place you were ever known.
Most certainly.
So when you were, obviously you came out when you were in college, but how old were you when you started to think, something feels different here? Because you felt different a million ways.
Oh yes, most certainly.
Right?
I knew that what I found to be attractive was different at the age of 4. Like, I knew, like, there was no denying, because it can be really easy to hear someone's story and paint, like, the environment, right? But at the same time, even as a kid, I still had opportunities. So like, I was, not only did I find church when I was a teenager, but when I was a really little one, I was actually a child model for a period of time. And so, like, Dillard's, JB White's, J.C. Penney's, Belk's, like the catalogs. I was a catalog kid, right?
That's so fitting.
It was. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I can see that.
And so in those opportunities, like, I was around a whole bunch of different types of kids, right?
Yeah.
And the kids in my head, I was like, oh, he's really pretty. And then there goes her, like, I knew at a very early age that my attraction was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I have several. Obviously, I was a cosmetologist for a long time, but I had several gay friends before that too. And they're all people, like, outside of one, they were all people that it's like, there was never a point when this wasn't.
Exactly.
Like, let's be real.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's be real. Like, they're showing you, like, their baby pictures, or their, like, toddler years and their younger years, and you're like,
yeah. There's a little skip in your step there.
Yeah. But anyway, that's so. How did that play out then, as you were getting enveloped into church and things? I'm curious to hear how, like, was there conflict in you, or was that kind of a part of yourself that you were still, like, in denial of? So it wasn't something that came up necessarily, or how did that play out for you?
So one of the saving graces is that I never I never had the desire to act on what
Okay.
I was feeling.
Okay.
So the only time that it was really a challenge is when I would hear sermons that spoke to it, or there would be side conversations, and people would willingly share
Yeah.
with me
Yeah.
how they felt so strongly against it.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they did, that was just a little reminder, oh, keep it under locks a little while longer, keep it under locks a little while longer. And then when I was about to graduate high school and realize, oh, I'm still under lock and key, it finally needs to be fixed, right? That's why I chose the university I went to, because I was like, well, if I stay within the church, if I stay at a Christian university, by the time I graduate, it's bound to be fixed, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be better. But it wasn't until my senior year that I sat back and I went over my prayer list that I had developed throughout school, and I'm kind of OCD a little bit. I write a lot of things down. I have a lot of journals, and I would, as God would answer prayer for me, I'd mark it off.
Yeah.
I'd mark it off, but He never touched the one that was on the top of my prayer list. And so that told me that maybe there's nothing really wrong with me. Maybe it's time to finally figure out how I can be me and still serve Him, right? And so, and that became the journey over the next few years. So,
Wow. That's unbelievable. So that was through high school.
yeah.
I want to talk about what led into, obviously, a lot of trauma as a child,
Yeah.
a lot of conflict, a lot of, even just coming into the world, like knowing that, like, did you know that when you were little that the parents had an affair?
So I knew that something just wasn't right, because I had 3 sets of grandparents, right? And so I had my mom's parents, I had her then husband's parents,
Oh.
and then I had this bonus set. And so that, like, context clues, right? And Mikey never really asked many questions. I just did what people told me to. And what ended up taking place was, when I turned 10, my mom came to me and she was like, hey, your dad wants to see you. And so I'm thinking it's my dad in the living room, right? So I turn off my Sega Genesis and I go sit next to him, and she goes, well, actually, he's not your real dad. He's Jesse's dad, but he's not your dad. And I was like, what? I'm real confused. I call him dad. And so ended up, I met my biological father in a mall, because of the tension that was surrounding the whole subject, and began that process of getting to know who he was. The thing about it, though, he had an incredible mother. My grandmother, I'll do my best not to cry. She was my person. And she fought for me to have a presence within the family, because I was, to some extent, supposed to be just kind of like
The secret.
Yeah. But she said, absolutely not. This is my first grandchild. This is my grandson. And when I was born, she was the only one who came to the hospital to see my mom and me. And so because of her, I had three sets of grandparents. And because of her, I could see the world a little differently. And I knew I had a safe place, right? And so that learning about my father then began to reveal the truth about the relationship at the time, of why I have 2 sisters with my mom and 1 older sister, which, this is going to sound really, my older sister, she's full white. And so we're always playing a game of pool, and she's the white ball, and we're the stripes. And so but I love her to death. Absolutely love her. So
Let's take a quick break for me to tell you about Simply Worth It, a clinic of trusted nurse practitioners who are focused on personal weight management, optimizing your health, and working with what your body needs to build confidence through safe and effective medical solutions. Simply Worth It is different than all the rest because they only hire nurse practitioners, not just medical assistants or nurses. With these skilled practitioners, they are able to provide a safer, more specialized service to get you to your specific goals. They have 3 locations that are going to serve you, in Wentzville, St. Peters, and South County. Visit simplyworthit.com. That's simply worth it, WURTH it.com, to set up your new patient consultation today. Wow. So do you think that played a role in what ended up becoming your addiction?
It did. Now, my addiction came about at a time when everything just kind of came to a head. And when you spend so much of your life always walking the fence and trying your best to do what's right, but still honor yourself at some point,
Yes.
basically being on eggshells.
It's the lifelong struggle, right?
Yeah.
That's the battle we always are in.
Accurate.
Is how can I truly, fully be my most authentic self and still please everyone else? That's how we feel most of our lives.
Bingo.
Until we finally go, wait, maybe I don't have to please everyone else. Maybe being myself is actually what will end up pleasing people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And me along the way. And me too. And then I get to be pleased too.
Accurate.
Yeah.
So a part of, like, as I'm learning to be a ballroom dancer and do that whole gambit, right? So my addiction didn't start till later in life. I had one night of drinking when I was like 15.
Yeah.
And I got so sick, I said, I'll never do this again. Like, never.
It's relatable.
Yeah. If I can control that, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
So after college and starting to be enveloped in the nightlife mixed with trying to get a job and all that jazz, I kind of felt like I had a superpower. I could literally be out partying all weekend and still be nice and prepped and ready to be in the ballroom in the morning, right? Monday morning. So like, it's like I can compartmentalize, I guess, because I grew up so long with two families.
Yeah.
I compartmentalized there. I can compartmentalize within myself, right? And so I did the professional thing and like drinking on the weekend, living for the weekend, and working through the week, right? That was my MO from age 20 till 28, right? 22 to 28. And then on my 28th year, as a female impersonator, I did really well performing. But one of my greatest prayers was, I was like, God, I don't know who this character is. I don't know how she plays a part in my life. I said, but I want to serve you. So throughout that time, I did a lot of fundraisers for community. I did a lot of like outreach. I made sure that I could be a representation of something positive within my world. And so when I turned 28, though, my grandfather passed away, and he was my rock. He was the only man that was there my entire life, even if he didn't want to be, right? But he was there. He showed up. He and I could have healthy, like, spars with each other and know that we'll still be there.
Yeah.
And my grandfather's also my father's father.
Yeah.
And so he did his best to make sure that I understood that the hurt I felt from him, from my dad, came from the hurt that he felt he put on him. So like my grandfather was very introspective. When I came out to him, he said, you know, Michael, even though it's not a life I would choose for you or one I understand, he goes, it does not negate that you've made me a proud grandfather for 22 years. And because of that, I'll always love you. And so when he passed, my world kind of like did a drastic shift. And then on top of that, at the time, and again, I'm saying this from my own perspective, my mom shared with me that she started seeing someone. And I was like, oh, cool, whatever, you know. And she goes, I'm seeing your father. And so I was like, life isn't real. Life isn't, why play by some game? Why play by the rules? Life isn't real. So
that's a twist.
Yeah, it was quite a major twist. And we've since moved past that. But at that time in my head at 28, like life, nothing made sense. And since my grandfather wasn't around any longer, I now needed something to go to.
Yeah.
I didn't have the church. I didn't have like my grandpa there. I didn't like, there's so many things. So someone offered me some heavy drugs one night and I said, well, let's just try. Like, why?
Yeah.
People talk about this addiction thing. What is it really?
Maybe it'll make me feel better.
Maybe I'll feel a little better, And I did. And for years thereafter, no matter how much I tried to quit or how much I wanted to, I always found my way back to it.
And this is all during, like, while you were a dance instructor?
So actually, I went rogue after 3 years, and I moved. I am a I'm a geographical, like I'm someone who like to try to just move and change my life, move and change my life,
Runner.
move and everything will get better, right?
Yeah.
So when things with corporate ballroom went south, I left, I moved, and then from there I started focusing more on drag in Asheville, North Carolina. Did really well there. Spent 3 years doing that, and then I won a national crown. And from there, just kind of I lost my identity in my stage character, if that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah,
sense,
yeah, yeah.
while still trying to dance on the side.
Mm.
I didn't return to active dancing until 2021.
Oh.
And so, yeah.
Where did your partner fall into all of this?
Oh,
Because I know there's that story there too.
yes. So my fiance Alex came into my life in in January 2019.
Okay.
And so when he came into my life, my grandmother passed away the year prior in September, and because again, as an addict, I'll find anything to give an excuse to, right? And so my excuse was, she's gone, I'm sad, I use, right? And so I did, and I used a lot very quickly. And then one night on an app, these blue eyes showed up, and I was like, this is too pretty to be around here. I started talking to him, and ended up, he was very upfront when we started chatting. He was like, I'm in recovery, I'm in sober living. He goes, so I'm taking all these relationships slow kind of situation. I was like, okay, perfect, like great. And what I read into it was that, oh, he needs someone to show him that he matters, right? He
Yeah.
needs someone. So I picked him up one night, and since then we have never left each other's side until 2021.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's go there.
So, okay, let's go there.
Let's go there. Because
So-
that's just based on what I know, like the addiction got pretty bad.
It was horrible.
And he's recovering
Hmm.
and you're using.
Yes. So
I don't even understand how it worked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how does
Yeah.
that even work? Was that something that, did you keep that a secret from him? Did he know?
He did not know.
Okay, that's
Not
what I
one
figured.
bit. Not
Yeah.
one bit. And so, because I'm a pretty eccentric kind of guy, right? I'm a piece that always stands out no matter what room I'm in. What ended up happening was I used my quirky personality to kind of mask what was happening underneath everything. And so when he and I met, I saw him doing this thing called recovery. I saw him going to meetings daily. I saw him chairing a meeting. I saw him doing all this stuff. And I'm like, well, if he's doing it, I'm just going to get it through osmosis. Like, I lay next to him, right? Done. Like,
I'll recover because he's recovering.
Bingo. Or he's a good cover up for me, right?
Yeah.
But then he did this dumb thing and made me fall in love with him, which was absolutely stupid. I don't think anyone should ever fall in love. I'm kidding. It's literally the best thing.
Quite the risk. But...
Exactly. So what ended up taking place was for 2.5 years, we had a good relationship. And I say good because during that 2.5 years, yes, I was using on the side. Occasionally, like I could go months without, and then all of a sudden, like... get the urge, and then I start going crazy again. But it was March 31st, 2021. Alex, we had bought our house in Granite City. And this was post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
And so I had started teaching dance a little bit here and there. Life was like somewhat pieced together, but I was the piece that just wasn't working, right? And I got home, and he was sitting at our kitchen table, and he said, Michael, he goes, I'm going to have this conversation with you one time. And he goes, and I want you to be absolutely honest. He goes, have you been using? And I sat there, and here's the crazy part about when I got called out is inside, the voices in my head had been screaming all day for someone to see that I was struggling. All day. I was on a lesson and I remember standing there teaching on autopilot, but in
Mm-hmm.
the back of my head, I was like, see me, call me out, help me, right? But then I'm sitting there at that dining room table with him and he's like giving me an opportunity and I lie.
Yeah.
I lie,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm just really tired, right? And so he was like, okay. And he pulls out a test kit because he worked in recovery and still does to this day.
Oh.
Pull out a test kit and put it on the kitchen table. And he said to me, he goes, because we learned this thing when we go out to the cabin and we have a saying and might sound trite, but we say if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down, right? Save water, right? And it was just mellowing. And so he had hoped that the water would have diluted whatever was in my system, but it did not. And the test pinged up everything that it needed to. Um, and so he showed it to me. And in that moment, the crazy part is yes, I was full of fear. I was full of anxiety. I was like, I have been caught. But also peace came in with it too. Because now I no longer had to hide. Like that, as an active addict, that was one of the most freeing things that could have happened for me. Um, what happened thereafter was I had work to do. And so the next day, because he didn't have a car at the time, so I would drive him to work. It was the most uncomfortable drive ever.
Yeah.
Took him to work, got back to the house, and I sat in my driveway and I was like, if I go into the house by myself, I'm like, I will use, period. Because I had stuff stashed in the rafters of the basement. It's like, if I go in by myself, I'll use. So I called my pastor and who I volunteered for
Mm-hmm.
at a church in Granite. And I said, this is what's happening. I said, I need you to come over here so I don't go in the house by myself. And she came over and she went in with me. And she took whatever I had and then she and I sat down and we started the process of calling treatment centers. And like I called so many treatment centers and got the same response. And then, which was there's about 4 to 6 week wait, right? Till finally, on the last one, I was like, okay, let me just tell you what's really happening. I said, my life just blew up. And I was just absolutely honest. And what was supposed to be a 4 week wait turned into a 4 day wait. And I went to treatment, and life began to change from that point on.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So how long was your treatment?
Treatment was 28 days, and it was in Illinois. Went down, and here's the thing about treatment. And I just had the chance this past Sunday to go talk to the guys down there that are currently there. So going back and seeing it through new eyes was way different. But when you're in treatment, when I was in treatment, what I heard a lot was these are tools, these are things you can use, da 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 da. But then the overall arch is just don't use and life will get better, right? After the treatment was the easy part for me.
Yeah.
Like you pull me away from where I've messed up, drop me somewhere new. Oh, 28 days?
It's a vacation.
Vacation. Like what? Let me sit out by this red Japanese maple and just chill, right? But I also listened, right? I listened very closely to my counselors, to my therapists, to all the activities, and I took the tools that they gave us and actually started to be like, okay, how does this apply when I get home, right? And when I came home, that's when the rubber hit the road, because as someone who's a geographical relocator, I could have just picked, I did not have to return to where I messed up.
Yeah.
But I did.
Oof.
And being there, I was no longer welcomed in our home naturally, and I respect him for it. So I was in sober living, the same sober living house that my partner went to.
Wow.
Which was 2 doors down from the house that he and I purchased. So here I am, and the guys, they were like, Michael, we just thought we didn't want to give you his old room, so you can have the room at the end of the hall. Like, great, sure, not a problem. The only issue is this particular room had clear view
Of
of
your
our
house.
backyard, our house. So every morning I'd hear my dog. I see Alex's car come and go, and I was in pure torture. I couldn't look out the bedroom window, right? And I couldn't rearrange it because it's like a 9 by 9. The bed only fits one way in this room. And so I had to relinquish my control. I had to relinquish my picture of what life would look like. And I, even in like the first year, my head and body wanted me to use so many times. And this is the part that people don't talk about, right? Is the fact that like I'm a recovering addict. My particular drug of choice is meth, right?
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I was in it for a long time. My body wanted to use so badly that my head rationalized, well, if you can't use, you just might as well off yourself, right? And that was the reality of where I was. And it could hit me at any moment. I
Mm-hmm.
could be walking to the bathroom and all of a sudden the fear, the anxiety would set in. The worst times was when I was driving because I didn't know where I would take the car. So I'd have to pull over and Oh, I'd call my aunts. I would call some friends of mine. I would call anyone just so I didn't have to sit in it by myself. And the best part is that they answered. Like, and I get it. So many times when you're where our loved ones are struggling, we don't know how to show up for them, right? And sometimes it can be very uncomfortable showing up for them. The fact that they answered the phone, I don't know where I would be if they didn't, right? And so that whole first year, Alex really didn't talk to me much, and the only time he did was when others pleaded on my behalf. Um, and I get it. And
Yeah.
he said to me, he said, Michael, if loving you was enough, we would have never had to go through this. You would have gotten sober much sooner. He
Oof.
goes, yeah. And he said, but clearly, like, my love was not enough. So you need to go find you.
And that is love right there.
It is. It is.
That is the ultimate picture of love, is that no matter how much I love you, I will let you go to save yourself.
Bingo. Bingo. He did the hard work.
He did.
And granted, within my addiction, there were things that he did the work to forgive me on later, and help make amends with that. And so today I live each day for me, but in our relationship, I live in accordance to a promise I made him, in the aspect I will never deliberately do something to upset you, or to hurt you. And that's kind of like the code that we live by in our home. Um, and it was a journey. It was a journey getting
Yeah.
back to us, but
Yeah, but that is where true healing happens.
bingo.
Is in the hard moments
Hmm.
where both people have to face the fact that like you're a really flawed person
Hmm.
and I'm a really flawed person.
Hmm.
And there are no guarantees in life except that I will always try my best.
Accurate. Accurate.
That's where healing happens, and that's where you build safety with another person
Accurate.
because you trust them. You give them your trust, they give you yours.
Hmm.
And as trust unfolds and is built, that foundation gets really strong.
Right. It's been incredible. Incredible.
And I'm sure at this stage you have an unbreakable foundation because you had to do the hard work. You had to completely rebuild
Bingo. Bingo.
yourself
Accurate.
and himself. I'm sure,
Accurate.
because I'm sure that he had grief too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
most certainly.
because I'm sure he didn't want to let you go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, being able to look at someone and go, "This, you broke my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and that really hurt, and I have to heal, but I'm willing to take that risk because I believe in you."
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Right. Right. I choose, as he said, like, I choose to trust you. Like, and trust comes with time. And the only way that he was able to develop that in the beginning of us getting back together was by watching what I was doing
Exactly.
from a distance.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he needed to see you save yourself.
bingo.
And you needed to save yourself.
I did.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have changed for him as much as you loved him, as much as he loved you. Like we don't change for other people.
Right.
They might be a factor,
Right.
but we change because we know that there's more
Yeah.
to to us.
Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
My gosh. And you're engaged now.
We're engaged now. We got engaged last year. I proposed to him at our annual showcase dinner and in front of 275 guests. And I'm grateful he said yes. And then a few weeks later, we were on a family vacation to Walt Disney World. And I had ice cream in hand, and I'm like about ready to watch the fireworks at the castle. I was like living my best kid life.
Yeah.
And Mom took my ice cream, and Alex then took my hand and was like, he got down on one knee, and I was just shocked. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, I didn't plan for this."
Yeah.
And so he asked me, which I feel as though, regardless of orientation, I think when two people make the decision to get married, whoever asks first, right?
Yeah.
And then you say yes, the other person should ask as well at some later date.
I never thought about that.
Because what it did for me in that moment was it showed me that his yes at Showcase was not to appease me, but he really wants to do this.
Well, because you made the choice to choose him, and that was him saying, I actually would choose you too.
Accurate.
I would.
Accurate.
Still.
Yeah.
Even if you hadn't made that choice. That's
accurate. So
I love love.
I love love.
But you know what? I also want to go back to, because I think this is, it's so beautiful to me, like the people that you've pointed out that showed up for you in your life, despite the people that rejected you, despite the people that abandoned you. And a lot of times what happens is before we really start to heal, we hold on to that, right? We hold on to the rejection, the hurt, the pain, the people that caused it, and the things that they did.
Accurate.
And there's a portion of our healing where we do have to process that. We do have to sit with that. We do have to accept that sometimes that is the world that we live in.
Right.
But what really heals us, I believe, is remembering the people that did stand by our side.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part where we get the opportunity to go, okay, I can become bitter. I can become angry. I can become resentful. I can harden my heart and put walls up so that no one ever can hurt me or reject me again. Or I can remember the people that stood by me. I can remember the people that answered the call.
Accurate.
I can remember who I want to be because of what they did for me.
Accurate.
And I get a choice of who I want to become.
Accurate.
And I think I genuinely believe with all my heart, love is the thing that heals us. And love is sometimes the thing that hurts us.
Accurate.
But it is the only thing that can heal us too.
Accurate.
And so I love that there were people that were there for you.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe that God put those specific people in your life on purpose because he knew your story.
Exactly.
And think about where you could be right now had you not met the young woman that saw something in you when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
The woman, and was she the same one that you called when?
No.
Oh, sorry, a different one.
Different one.
But the pastor that came and sat with you, so you didn't use again. The aunts and friends that answered when you called, and even Alex.
Yeah.
Who was in recovery already. How interesting, right? That an addict would meet someone in recovery.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And fall in love.
Exactly.
And then that would be the very reason that they were broken open and realized, okay, I've got to change.
Exactly.
Imagine,
yeah,
how different your life could look.
Incredibly different.
It's so divine. It was so divinely guided in such a beautiful and obvious way.
Right.
And now you're here telling the story about it.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I really feel that the relationships help me to allow me the opportunity to finally allow myself to be vulnerable and to speak what's really happening. Because before, moments of uncomfort, moments of anxiety, angst, it stays in the head, right? But when I finally speak to it and they gave me the space to speak to it, or the space to be like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? It changed everything. Because now it was no longer in the playground in my head, right? We're removing the syringes from the playground in my head, right? And it completely changed everything. But what also, if I go back just a little bit, and yes, I came about as a human in a very unorthodox way, right? Extremely. What I used to carry around my whole life as an unwanted or a mistake, right? It has transformed to I'm a world changer. Like my existence alone made people have to change their life, change their plans, change their understanding of what's possible. Like when you are a biracial kid who is told that you shouldn't be here, right? Means how great is it that I exist because there are no rules. There's nothing to hold me back, and I don't have to abide by any laws outside of don't hurt someone, right? And that shifted for me because I now no longer see my life as an accident. I see it as being someone who is meant to change this world.
Yeah.
And so, and I do that through the studio. I do that through relationships and recovery. It's
You
phenomenal.
do that through who you are,
Thank you.
by just being yourself, by being real and open and honest about the struggles and the process and like giving hope to people, you know?
Yeah.
That is how we change the world.
Accurate.
And think about that. Think of all the lives that have been impacted now because a mistake happened with two people that weren't supposed to be fiddling around the way that they did.
My dad's first words to my mom were nice boots in a nightclub. So I know.
Wow, that got her.
I know.
Wow.
Let me tell you, I've worn some very nice boots in my day.
She's like, nice boots.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just wild how life happens. But obviously, it's the opposite of a mistake. That is, you were clearly meant to be here.
Exactly.
Because nice boots wouldn't be the thing that really moved me. I can tell you that.
I love it.
Oh, you wouldn't have me changing my whole life for that compliment, but God love her.
it.
She did, and
She
here
did.
you are.
She did. Look at that.
Thank God.
Yeah.
In a weird, wild way. No, so just before we finish up here, I want to talk about the recovery portion. But to anyone who's listening that has struggled with addiction, and addiction, obviously, it can be drugs, it can be anything.
It can be anything.
It can be anything, but it is hard to break free. And maybe that person is ready to change. They want to change. They know there's more to their life, and they're just, maybe they don't have somebody in their life like Alex that confronts them and says, hey, I'm leaving you.
Yeah.
Because I know you're lying to me and this hurts me. Like maybe they don't have somebody to wake them up like that, but they're ready. What advice would you give them?
The first part is having to become aware that there is a problem, right? If we can acknowledge that there's a problem, that means there are steps to take thereafter. And so by acknowledging that there's a problem and then seeing, okay, I would say dive head first in as much as you humanly can without any fear, because once you acknowledge that there's a problem, then there's nothing to lose in getting better, period. There's only things to be lost if you continue along that path, right?
Yeah.
And so what I did, like the greatest tool, literally for me as an individual, I'm OCD. I love things organized very cleanly. I took a calendar, right? And I talk about this calendar a lot, and it's still in the studio to this day. But it was a calendar, and I color coded it with the stages of recovery, right? From where we have withdrawal, honeymoon, and I did all of that, right? And what I did was every day I put a red dot on this calendar. It was a year calendar, April to April, and I put a dot because every dot represents like casting a vote for who you want to be. You have no idea who that person is. I still don't know who Michael is, right? But at the same time, I get to enjoy this journey because I choose to cast votes for who he's going to be. And so the first year of my recovery, those red dots were all I had. And I would say if you're in the middle of realizing that there's a problem, set out a calendar, start the process, and just pick up the phone and call. And call anyone and open up. The first person you open up to may not receive the news well, okay? They may not. They probably won't know what to do. But that will break the ice and you starting the process of if treatment's needed, calling treatment centers. If counselors are needed, calling counselors. Or if you can find a 12-step meeting near you, get to a 12-step meeting, period. You don't have to know what it's about. You just have to know for that hour you're not using.
Yeah.
Period. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Start with an hour.
Start with an hour. That's it.
Start with somebody that, like a group that can influence you,
Bingo.
even if you're not quite ready, you know?
Bingo.
That's so true. What encouragement would you give them? Rather,
Yeah.
let me reframe.
Please.
What would you have needed to hear?
It's not going to be easy, but it's most certainly worth it. Period. It's worth it. When I first started, I had what seemed like nothing. I had a 9x9 room in recovery or in a sober living house. I had the dance studio, which was just the one room at the time, and I had maybe 5 clients.
Wow.
By all means, I should not have made it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The hospital was checking in on me. It was everything by aesthetic standard looked like it was going to unravel at any moment. But I knew that this journey was worth it. I knew it. And if you can get that reality like cemented in your soul, that whatever pain it is, it'll be worth it. Just keep going. And 2 things. One is they say, do the next right thing, right? Always say it. But sometimes you have no clue what that is. So just don't make it worse.
Oh, that's good.
Just don't make it worse, right? And then when you need to, which I still do, probably when we're done today, I'm going to go do this as well. Take a nap every day, because there's something powerful when you own the fact that you can shut things off just for a minute and restart it again. Like, yes, I've been sober now 1,598 days.
Wow.
Like, I keep track every single day, but I've had twice that in day count because I've restarted it every single day. I just don't make it worse, and I take naps. Period.
I'm a big fan of a nap.
Yeah, same.
I can heal a lot of things.
Accurate.
It can fix everything some days.
Accurate.
Yeah, big fan of that. But no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I agree. I think that sometimes we get too ahead of ourselves, right? We think, okay, I've got to plan out my whole life now.
Right.
And this can be whether you're recovering from an addiction or you're recovering from grief or, whatever, or you've hit rock bottom and life has just completely flattened you, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's less about what does it look like in a year. And it's more about how can it look tomorrow?
Yeah.
How can it look right now? What can I do right now to just show up for me?
Accurate.
Right?
Accurate.
So, I've learned that too. And that's one of the greatest things I've ever learned is that we don't have to know the big picture. We just have to show up for ourselves in the moment
Exactly.
that we have.
And release the expectation that others should know too. Period. No one has to understand my journey. The only one who gets to learn about it and understand it and thoroughly is myself.
That's right.
Everyone else helps it along, but they don't have to understand.
Yeah.
Because it's my journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's so good too. Like we especially, I'm sure in addiction, there's that comes from a hole in your heart, right? You don't just stumble into it. Something's missing when you get to a place where you're like, okay, fine, I'll just do it.
Exactly.
Right. But learning that the approval that you have for yourself can be more powerful than the approval you need from other people.
Exactly.
And that's a whole healing process on its own. But when you do finally get there, life changes because it doesn't have to look the way anyone else thinks it needs to look, And one other thing that I would encourage people to is that whether it's addiction or it's grief or it's whatever, remember that your healing, your recovery, whatever that may be, is the thing that will then light a path for the people behind you to know how to take the next step.
Right.
And so sometimes taking it a little bit outside of ourselves and going, okay, it's not just about me.
Right.
there are people watching that will end up in the same scenario that I ended up in. And if I can lead the way, if I can be the example that, okay, I can do it. I can, because they did. That gives so much purpose and meaning to our lives, you know?
Accurate.
It'll keep you moving. But so if you could go back to little Michael.
Yeah.
Little Michael. And you could sit down, you could kneel down, and you could grab his hands. And you could talk to him right now. What would you say?
I would say that I love you first. You're safe. And even though you have absolutely no idea how incredible you're going to be, you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I could go back to little Michael, before I knew that you as you are now, I would say to him, everything you experience is leading you exactly where you're meant to be. You are exactly who you're meant to be. There's nothing wrong with you. You are very much loved, and no matter who comes into your life and rejects you, there will be people that will come in that will see you and love you still. And those are the ones that matter. And you matter, and you're important, and everything is unfolding in a beautiful way that's gonna, you'll one day look back and you'll see why it all happened and be so grateful. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
For coming. Well, how can people find you? If they want to look you up, if they want to do dance classes, or they want to just know more about you, what can they do?
I mean, there's always the socials. And so whether that is my personal one, or they can always find me through Facebook, through the studio Facebook page, which is Effervescent Studios.
Okay.
Or effervescentstudios.com. Our website's updated monthly. Or like TikTok as well. You know, I'm just a regular old guy.
That's not true.
I feel like it.
No,
Still learning how to create an imprint in this world.
You are leaving one now.
Thank you.
And so Michael Wooten.
Michael Kenneth Wooten.
Michael Kenneth Wooten is how they'll find you.
Yes.
And how do they spell Wooten? Because I know I wouldn't have known.
Wooten.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any one last message, just whether it's happy, sad, in between, just for anyone listening that you're like, you know what? Here you go.
Man. I think the biggest thing that I'd have to say, or would like to say, is that regardless of the way things appear right now, period, it's going to get better in every situation, every circumstance. Like, we truly can't orchestrate our own future without some semblance of letting go. And today I am a living product of doing simple tasks and just showing up every day.
Oof.
That's it.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That is literally the key.
Yeah.
The
Accurate.
little tiny steps each day that feel maybe even meaningless sometimes,
Accurate.
but it's always leading you there.
Accurate.
That's so good. I love that. Well, without further ado, that's the end of this episode. But Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to come here and for your story and for who you are.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to dance with you again.
I know.
I know I have that package.
You
now.
do. Well, you do. Get on in
And
there.
I really want to get in there and be Cinderella again, but I've been busy.
I've
been busy, but I'm ready. I need to get in there. He made me feel like a true ballroom dancer. So
You danced beautifully.
I was like, I really am Belle.
Yeah.
I really am Belle. I always knew I was, but now I
love
really
it.
know.
That is awesome.
But anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashley.